Hey, let's get after it. This is probably the first ever ACT video recorded inside a hospital room. So we're making history here. But it's all going to be worth it when you get into UT Austin. So I looked at your responses that you gave me, the email of the answers that you got wrong, and I feel like there's a huge area of need for us right here in the English section, the grammar. What we're going to do is like a 6 or 7 minute video lesson, and then I'm actually going to give you a homework assignment to practice given the lesson. Okay, so a couple things that I noticed on the questions you got wrong, and what we're going to do is I'm actually going to show you some PDFs of some strategies. And you can take some notes. You can pause this video whenever and just make some notes for yourself. I think it might be beneficial for you to just have a sheet of paper out, even if you want to just press pause right now, get a sheet of paper out and a pencil. That way you can kind of write some of these things down. I think it's going to be super beneficial for you. But let's just take a peek at these strategies. I'm going to run through them. I'm going to explain each one, and then you're going to do your homework. So the first strategy for this section that I think that you need to get into your head is you don't be afraid to pick no change. No change is an answer choice that you see almost on every option. Like literally 4 times out of 5, you're going to see no change as an option. And I think if kids are scared to pick no change, they're really leaving a lot of free points out there on the board. So we need to have that in the back of our mind that we could pick no change a lot and you're still going to get them right. I think kids pick no change like 2 or 3 times and then they feel like, oh, it can't be no change again. We got to stay away from that mentality. The next thing that we have to utilize for every question is the process of elimination. This means you're going to have an active pencil. Obviously, you're going to be doing this right now online, but the day of the test, you have to cross out bad answer choices, literally crossing them out, because the ACT is not always about which answer is correct, but it's more about like which answer is most correct. So we kind of want to just work our way to the right answer, and I'm going to show you how we do that by just getting rid of the bad answer choices. So I think my recommendation for you right now would just be to press pause, write down, don't be afraid to pick no change, write down process of elimination, get those down, and then press play, and we're going to go over the next two. Okay, next two strategies. Here we go. This is one I think that you missed a couple times. And I think you and a lot of kids, it's not just you, gravitate towards the right here. You see where it says a common misconception is that a wordy answer choice is better than a simple one. I think kids really believe that since we're taking the ACT or SAT, it's like the sophisticated answer choice, the one that's kind of using academic language and a little more wordy, is the correct one. But our strategy right here says simple is best. We always want to work our way to the simple answer. Now, let me show you what that means. One of the last strategies we went over was process of elimination. And check this out. Maybe you get rid of A and maybe you get rid of D, and you're down to 2 answer choices and you don't know which one's right because you're like, man, it could be either one. Okay, we always want to pick the simple answer. So if you're ever down to 2, choose the one that's like most concise, most straightforward, and that's most simple. Okay, simple is best. We want to get away from the wordy answer choices. Okay, our next strategy is consistency. We just want to remember consistency, consistency, consistency. And what I mean by that is that we always need to keep a consistent tense. Like if the story or the passage is in the present tense or the future tense or the past tense in like a specific paragraph, they're going to try and switch the tense on you in a very subtle way for you to not notice that. Okay, and we need consistency in whether we're in the singular or the plural. We need a consistency in like lists. So words, usually you want to look for consistency in words. Maybe they give you 2 different words back to back. We want them to end in the same way. Okay, and then the last thing is consistency in regards to comparisons. Like if I'm going to compare the color of someone's shoes, we need to compare that to the color of something else, right? So it's you're kind of comparing color to color. So just be mindful that they're going to switch these things up on you, and we got to always when we're reading, be mindful of like what tense I'm in. Am I in the singular and the plural? Like just having that kind of fighter pilot focus on the subtleties of the paragraph or the passage that you're in. Okay, moving forward, and I think this is probably the biggest area of weakness for you is, and this is where we're going to make some serious gains. And if you didn't write down the strategies, just rewind the video 1 sec and make sure you write down simple is best and consistency. But punctuations for you. I feel like the punctuations, the two things I think that got away from you a little bit were choosing the wordy answers, kind of hurt you on quite a few questions. And then like, when do I use the commas? When do I use the semicolons? And when do I use the colons? Those type of things. Okay, so in regards to our punctuations, the punctuation that's actually used the most, I would say, is like the period, okay, or the comma. That's the answer choice that's going to be chosen most. Next is semicolon, next is colon, and then the dash is the least common. So let me take you through the situations on when you would use these, and I'm going to kind of blow your mind a little bit. Okay, so here are our comma rules. Okay, now the comma, you're usually going to see a fanboy after the comma. Okay, when I talk about the fanboy, it's for, and, nor, but, or, yet. So those are our fanboys, and they come after the comma. You will almost always see the fanboys after the comma, like 80 to 90% of the time. So just be mindful when you see a comma, is there a fanboy after, okay, or not? The other time that you would see a comma used correctly, and this is one that you missed on the test that I went over, is when you see a double comma. So you see we have a double comma here, it's a pair. A double comma is called an appositive, and it's basically a little descriptive phrase that's like unnecessary. Okay, so the way that we check to see if the double comma is accurate and it works or not is we just cover it up with our finger. So you see what it says, James, the man with gray hair, loves to play golf. So the way you would check this and see if it's correct is you would literally take your finger and cover it over the man with the gray hair, the part that's in between the double commas. And if the sentence reads correctly, you know it's correct. So in this case, it would say James loves to play golf. Okay, so remember, the fanboys come after the comma, and if you see a double comma, just cover it and see if the sentence reads correctly without it, and if it does, you're good. Okay, next, these ones are super simple. Okay, the semicolon. You must have two complete sentences. So what I mean by that is a complete sentence before the semicolon and a complete sentence after the semicolon. Okay, you have to have two complete sentences for a semicolon to work, and there's no fanboy used. You cannot have a fanboy after the semicolon. Okay, so that's the rule. Complete sentence, no fanboy. Now the colon, check this out, is complete sentence, incomplete sentence. Okay, that's when you use a colon correctly. You have a complete sentence before the colon and an incomplete sentence or a fragment after the colon. Okay, and then the last thing that's really easy is the dash. The dash is a double. You always have a double dash, and it's just like the comma. It's that same descriptive phrase in between the two dashes. Okay, and the one thing I left out a little bit here is just that, for the colon, it could also introduce a list. Okay, so if you see like a colon and then there's a list of items after, that's correct. So you definitely want to kind of look these over and study them, make some notes, if you want to rewind, right? And write down your comma rules, write down your semicolon rules, your colon rules, and your dash rules. Very important. These are the things that really left a lot of points on the board for you. Okay, and the last thing that I want to kind of cover is, this was huge for you. These words in context. Okay, you messed these up a couple times, and I just want to show you what words in context are. Anytime you see a word like this, furthermore, moreover, similarly, likewise, and I could actually show you exactly which one you missed because I had it right here-ish. There was one of the ones, I'll find it right here just because I want to give you, because I know you took this, so I want to. In conclusion. Okay, you see this right here, in conclusion. All right, that is a words in context kind of word, right? In conclusion or furthermore. Those, you got to know when you see those kind of words, you have to like basically check yourself and say, is this being used in the right context? Okay, for this one, it's not in conclusion, the oldest known sample of musical notations dates from 4,000 years ago. Okay, this one's, it's like, in fact, right? In fact, like, and then they give you a fact. Okay, so over here, just know with these words, right? Is it a contrast? Is it building on something? Is it actually a conclusion? So when you see these words, you need to just know, like, things got to go off on your brain, like, ooh, that's a context word. Is it being used in the right context? Okay, the last thing, I don't think you're going to see effect versus effect, but if you ever do, just remember effect is a verb, okay, and effect is not a verb. It's like a noun, okay, kind of. So here's the example. It's when something affects something else, the result is an effect, okay? So you may see that in the future, but those are all pretty much the grammar rules. Everything I gave you here in this little 10-minute video is everything you need to get a perfect score on the grammar section. So what we're going to do is, you got a short little homework assignment. I want you to go over those notes that I just gave you, and then I want you to take this assignment, okay? And then I actually want you to grade it, and then let me know what you got. So let's go back here. Actually, I'll grade it for you if you just send me your answers. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do page, because this is practice test number 2, I believe. It starts on page 677. So 677, page 677, and I'm going to have you do 1 through 30 again. Okay, so questions 1 through 30, and I think you're going to have about, I don't know, just the amount of time that I gave you last time, 45 minutes, 75 questions. That's almost divided by 2, but plus 30. I would say 20 minutes-ish, maybe 17, 18. Hopefully you can get done with the questions within like 18 to 20 minutes at most. Okay, but we want 1 through 30, and then you can actually send me your answers and I'll grade it and see how you do. Okay, so we're going 677, 1 through 30. Tonight, after you review your strategies, really lock in, send me your answers, and we'll kind of go from there. All right?